When it comes time to deliver a presentation or a pitch, you want to make sure that you're at your best. In fact, you probably want your presentation to stand out. And in this video, I'm going to show you in no uncertain terms how to be outstanding. My name is Chris Westfall. I've been a professional speaker for over a dozen years. I've spoken to audiences all over the world, given thousands of presentations as a professional speaker. And in this video, I'm going to take you behind the scenes to show you how I am able to speak without using notes. If you follow the techniques in this video, you'll be on your way to, first of all, not reading to your audience and not even needing to use notes when you deliver your message. The end result, the outcome, is that your message becomes more compelling because you are more connected to your material, you're connected to confidence, and you're able to connect with your audience. And in order to access these ideas, you have to understand why it's so important not to read to an audience. You see, if you're going to read to an audience, you're going to be looking at your material, you're not going to be looking at the audience. And right now, just the fact that I'm looking down, there's no connection. Eye contact is key to connection. And if you're curious to know how to create eye contact that doesn't look like the 1,000-yard stare, or eye contact that is authentic and real, let me know in the comments, because I'm going to be creating a series of videos like this one to help you to present in a more powerful and confident way. And if you'd like to know about things like eye contact, that's what the comments are for, so be sure to let me know. But when you're reading to an audience, the audience is wondering why your presentation wasn't just an email. And when people are reading, so many times they might be saying things like, "I'm so excited to be here," but they're disconnected. There's no authentic emotion behind what they're saying. Have you ever been in a presentation like that? It instantly alienates the audience. And what you want to do when you speak to an audience today, if you really want to stand out and be at your best, is you want to be connected to your material and be able to speak without reading and even without notes. In order to do that, you have to understand how to use your imagination to create connection. Now, it's been said that worry and anxiety is a misuse of imagination. So when it comes time for you to give a speech or presentation, you know that standing up in front of an audience is one of our greatest fears. And you may have a level of anxiety around that fact, but there's a way around your anxiety, and that method involves your imagination. Your imagination connects an uncommon object to something that you know, something that you already know. And that uncommon object has to be something unusual. It is a memory trigger, if you will. We're going to create good triggers in this video. Triggers that help you to use your imagination in an effective way. So my uncommon object that I'm going to use for the purpose of this video is this little plastic triceratops. Can you see? Let's see if the camera can focus on him. There it is. Yes, this little plastic triceratops. And every time I see this little plastic dinosaur, it is going to remind me to share something that I know about Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln. Now you may be wondering, what is the connection between a dinosaur and Abraham Lincoln? Well, they're both things from the past, but really that's about all I got. These objects, these things are not related, but they will be very shortly. And what is the connection? It's my imagination. Every time I see this triceratops, it's a reminder for me to share something that I know about the 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln, who actually lived in 3 states. He was born in Kentucky, lived in Indiana, and then later worked in Illinois, where he was a very, very prolific lawyer and attorney. And in fact, that's why Illinois claims Lincoln as their native son in their motto, which is the land of Lincoln. Something that I happen to know about Abraham Lincoln, triggered by a silly little plastic dinosaur. This kind of ridiculous example is a reminder to you to choose an uncommon object simply as a reminder to share what it is that you know on a subject. Why is this important? If you can do what I'm doing, and by the way, I'm not a superhero, these powers exist within you, you're simply accessing a memory and using a trigger of an uncommon object, you can create multiple triggers inside your presentation so that you are never lost and completely confident in delivering your material. And that confidence comes from the way that our minds, our brains are wired. As human beings, we are visual creatures. 80 to 85% of the way that we perceive and learn about the world around us comes from vision. Our visualization is how we convey ideas. We don't see words on a page, we see ideas. The words simply are the tools and symbols that express those ideas. That's why when leaders speak, they talk about sharing their vision. If I ask you to think of your mother, you don't see her name on a page, you see her face, and you'll never forget that face. Why? Because it's an imprint, it's a memory, it's a vision that you see as plain as day whenever you think of your mother. In the same way, you can create positive triggers and imprints using your imagination, creativity, and a desire for greater connection with your audience. You are never lost. You are completely confident because it's simply a silly little trigger that reminds me of the time when I was at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. You probably know that Ford's Theater was where Abraham Lincoln spent the last night of his life when John Wilkes Booth came in and shot the president in the back of the head. I always thought that Lincoln was sitting in the back of the theater in the balcony where this event transpired, but actually when I was in Ford's Theater, I was able to see, looking at the stage, that the president's box where Lincoln sat was actually right next to the stage, about 12, maybe 15 feet above the stage, so that the president would be able to look right down on the stage. And it was the president's box where John Wilkes Booth entered, shot Lincoln in the back of the head, and leapt from the president's box onto the stage, where he uttered three very famous words in Latin: sic semper tyrannis, long live tyranny. And after he shouted those words, he ran out the back of the theater, stunning the actors on stage and the entire audience at Ford's Theater, because President Lincoln had just been shot. That's an example of a story that's based on a memory, because I actually went to Ford's Theater and I listened to the tour guide as the tour guide shared that story with me. And I remember that story not as a series of words on a page, but as an actual memory, as something that I can envision from a memory, from a tiny object. I remember a story. I access something that you can do too. And that's really your assignment if you're willing to accept it and try it. And that is to come up with uncommon objects like what I'm showing you here and let it trigger a memory. And the objective of the exercise is not to lock down what it is that you're going to say, but to lock down your ability to imagine, to create connection between an uncommon object and a memory that you share, because this technique is central to something that the ancient Greeks developed called the memory palace. The memory palace uses not only our ability to visualize, but also our ability as human beings to geolocate. In other words, to know where we are in space and to remember where things are located. It's a vital survival skill. And while you may use your GPS to go across town or to another state, when it comes to finding things in your house, that's your very own memory palace, you know where things are located. For example, you know where the food is. You know where your room is. You know where the pots and pans and dishes are located. And so, as we recognize our ability to geolocate and remember where things are, we create a pathway through a memory palace and we attach uncommon objects to a trigger to create a memory. And as you walk through your house, your memory palace, you remember what it is that you want to share and say. So let's do an actual example of how the memory palace works. I don't have a palace available, so I'm going to use my front door. And from my front porch, now if I wanted to, I could put an image or an uncommon object on that lever. But instead, I've put that uncommon object right here on the porch. Now, the door is already starting to open here because my cat wants to escape. We have to work with what we're given. What I want to show you in my memory palace is right here on my left. I have a little credenza, and this is a picture of my daughter. This is Ruby, and in front of Ruby, you will see that I've put 4 coins, 4 pennies with Lincoln's image on those coins. And this is a reminder that Abe Lincoln did not have a daughter. He had 4 sons. The pile of money here, $2 and change, which is my life savings. But this pile of money is a reminder that Abraham Lincoln started the federal income tax as part of his presidency. The memory palace is the way that memory experts memorize all 52 cards in a deck of cards in order. The memory palace is the way that people are able to memorize dozens, even hundreds of numbers in order using this technique. And the technique simply leverages the way that our minds are wired, skills that you already possess, such as geolocation, so that you can find your way to connect with your audience without reading and without using notes. For example, when I'm delivering a presentation and I see an image of a pug, a little dog that's wrapped in a blanket and standing in the woods, I know, doesn't this sound like a ridiculous image? Here it is. And the pug in the rug is an uncommon object that I use as a trigger, and I place it on a PowerPoint slide to remind me what to say about the #1 question in business. Here's how that looks. In order to do that, I need you to take a close look at this next picture, which will offer you insight into not only consumer behavior, but your own understanding of your own behavior around leadership and innovation. Here's that picture. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the pug in the rug. And you may be looking at this picture and thinking to yourself, why in the world would somebody take that little dog out into the woods, probably outside of Highway 6, I'm guessing, I don't know, and put a blanket on him and take pictures of him? I mean, when you see this, aren't you made of questions? And isn't the #1 question on your mind this right here? The #1 question in retail, the #1 question for us today as we look in the direction of accessing innovation is why. And not just why, that's as broad as all outdoors, but why should I do business with you? Throughout my presentation, I put memory triggers. Some of those triggers are on slides. Some of those memory triggers are things that I simply imagine. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel and hit that bell so that you'll know when new content is released, because I'm going to be developing a series of videos like this one in the spirit of service so that you can share your ideas in a more powerful way. What is it that you would like to know more about? What is it that would help you most around confidence, connection, and your ability to access your own charisma, which we all possess, so that you can establish your credibility, make an impact, and do the things that you want to do for your life, your business, and your career. My name is Chris Westfall. Thank you so much for watching this video as you consider how you can use your imagination. Make those connections that matter so that you can create the triggers that will give you the confidence to deliver your story without reading to the audience, without notes, and with a powerful and compelling impact, because you know with confidence that you never forget what it is that you see in your mind's eye.